Welcome back, Commanders. Thank you for joining us on another video. So, let me reintroduce myself again. I am Michael. Um, Going forward, you can just call me Mikey B. And so in this video, I wanted to give you a little more background on myself and on the game. Kind of tell you why I built it and why it is almost ready to play. So, yeah, um, I've been writing software for almost 40 years now. Most of those years were as a software developer, business software developer, and now doing data engineering. And I'd say for the past 15 years, I've been pretty active playing different strategy and gacha style games. So I've seen the good parts of those games, and I've definitely seen the frustrating parts. This game has actually been in the back of my mind for a very long time. And I'm happy to say it's now it's real. Um, so yeah, why I decided to build it. So like I said, over the last 15 years, I've played a lot of games, and I gotta say I really enjoyed playing most of them, and kind of enjoyed them right up until where the monetization started to take over. There was too much pay to win mechanics, endless packs, endless events to pay to get to play or to even finish an event. You had to pay money into the game, and multiple different premium currencies, that these games had. It started to feel more like you're playing just to pay them basically. It was losing a little bit of the entertainment value, I'd say. So to be clear, I'm not against spending money on these games. I've spent my fair share, I gotta say, on these games, and it's I think supporting developers and these in the games is completely reasonable. Paying for entertainment, but when you're paying and paying and paying, and you are investing a lot of time and money just to see all the progress you made in certain areas being validated at any moment, either by a new character release or a balance patch or a new game feature or element in the game or a new system, all geared towards getting you to make that next purchase. I remember in one game I was playing, this was a few years ago, and there was an event, and I think I probably spent a few $100s on the event packs to try to acquire one of the premium characters in the game that was a part of this event. And luckily I did acquire them, and it was great. I used that character in my team everywhere practically and enjoyed it. And then I'd have to say about 8 months, maybe a year later, a balance patch came out. And a balance patch came out, and it totally nerfed that character. I mean, in the words I gave my fellow players in the guild I was in, I thought they basically castrated him. So, that was a little upsetting, I gotta say, to me. Really, that moment really stuck with me, and it was kind of the beginning of the end for me for that game. And I'm not saying games shouldn't evolve and there shouldn't be balance patches, but I think because the system was designed so that the solution was simply to get you to go ahead and chase the next, expensive character or make that next buy into the game. And I gotta admit, I think a lot of players have experienced something like that. So eventually, I asked myself a very simple question. If I were going to build a game myself, what would I do differently? And instead of complaining about those systems for another decade and play another game for another decade or two or three, I decided to build the game I always wished existed. And Zorlian-X is here. From the very beginning, you know, I set a few rules out for myself in building the game. First, it had to be free to play friendly by design and not as an afterthought. There's no pay to win mechanics in this game. You know, you put the time in on the game, you're you're grinding things out, then it should be meaningful to players who are investing the time. You know, spending money in the game is will be appreciated to show the appreciation of the game, but it's not required. And a lot of the things that are in the premium shop are for saving you time, and it's not really to unlock power in the game that you can't earn just by grinding. Third, you know, player progress should never be invalidated. You should never feel the way I felt that day when my, you know, premium purchase player got castrated and nerfed. I don't want other players to ever feel like that. So I'm going to be very careful in the design and the execution of the game because the game that is going to be released here soon, there are many plans on the whiteboard for expanding the game out, in which I think everyone is going to be happy with the plans. But I wanted to get the game out and get people enjoying it, and you know down and see what kind of audience and who bringing into the game. Is are people liking it? Are people playing? Do they want to play? And if the game takes off and gets traction, those other systems are definitely going to be a part of the game. A lot of them have been, like I said, are designed in theory, but not built yet. But like I said, I want to make sure that you know there's a good player base for things like the what I call the your alliance, where you it's guild like you know. It's not going to make sense to have the guild or alliance on day one or day 30 when you know you don't have that many players to build alliances to have that guild kind of play. But you know, as time goes on, I'm hoping you know, in the second, third month, there'll be enough players in the game where it makes sense to have the alliance. So I wanted to put the effort towards getting the single player PvE part of the game built out and playable and enjoyable, and then expand out from there, having those other game features. Um, so, yeah, that's the reasoning behind the thought process behind this release. Um, the other thing that you're going to find, I think, refreshing is there is no energy system. There's no timer telling you when to play the game, how long you can play the game. So you got to stop playing the game and come back later. If you want to play the game, you can play the game. I also intentionally left the number of systems smaller, not because the game is simple, but because I wanted the challenge to come from building out your ships and what ships you combine in certain battles and the pilots you have on them and the different gear you have on them and the strategies you're putting together. So, while it's not, I don't think overly complex, it is not a simple game. It does give you a little bit of a challenge on and building um, your ships with different pilots with different gear to get through different parts of the game. So I think I think it'll be challenging and kind of fun to do. And you know, I'm hoping, but I'll wait to hear feedback from you guys. Um, so the other thing is, like by doing this, there's not dozens and dozens of characters. There are four ships in four different classes, so a total of 16. There are currently 13 pilots, also in the same four classes. So there's not overwhelming. It's not like hundreds of characters or you know, bunch of, you know, a lot of characters you got to worry about building and things like that. So I think that'll be refreshing to my player base. Um, so when I built this game, I was building it on a PC. I was doing all my testing on a browser on the PC, and It looked really good. I'd have to say a couple of months ago, it looked really good, and I was excited. I was like, all right, I think I'm done. I'm going to get some beta testers on this. And one person I was talking to, they asked me a pretty simple question. They were like, so if you try playing it on your tablet, I only play games on my tablet. And I was like, let me do that. So I pulled up my tablet, pulled the game up, and I was like, oh man, this is awful. This is completely unplayable. Yeah. That moment was a little slightly soul crushing, but it made me realize, okay, it's a hard decision. I gotta scrap it. I gotta scrap the UX. I gotta scrap the UI, and I've got to rebuild this interface and rebuild this game with mobile first, from the ground up. So sure, it added a couple of months of work, but it was definitely the right call. Now the game is designed to work cleanly on phones, tablets, and your PC. And that change, honestly, in hindsight, it made the game so much better. Um, yeah. So the current state of the game is it is not a concept. It is not a prototype. The game is fully playable end to end. Um, what I'm currently focused on at this stage is less of the glamorous work. It is making sure the game is secure, making sure there's no holes in the game, anti-cheat protections are there, make sure the game economy holds up long term. I have beta testers on it now. Want to make it bug free as much as possible when it releases. I know the last thing you want to do is have a buggy launch. So I want to make sure that all the players out there have a very enjoyable experience with the game, and it can be as bug free as possible when we release. So that's currently where the state of the game is. So that's all the kinds of things you do when you're preparing for a launch, not when you're still trying to invent the game. So what this channel is going to be going forward is, I'd say with the next few videos, I'm going to be showing how the progression in the game works, how the economy in the game works. I'm even going to show how the monetization works very transparently. I think you're going to be very pleasantly surprised and happy about that. I want the players to understand exactly what kind of game this is. And then you can decide for yourself, is this something you want to spend time with? So, yeah. Um, see here for, there is a page currently up. It's my pre-registration page. I have this up, and I'll leave the link down below. So um, this is really up here to give me a signal of interest in the game. It's to let me know how many people out there who are seeing these videos and seeing the game, how many people are really interested in playing this, and also to get comments and to get feedback from everyone about the game. Get your thoughts, suggestions, what you like, what you don't like, things like that, and try to see if we can fit some of those things in before the launch. And when you pre-register as a reward for signing up early when the game does launch, you're gonna get a lot of nice rewards to start you off, to start your command off right on the right foot. There is no obligation when you pre-register. There's no purchasing required, and definitely no spam email to you. It just lets me know you're interested, and it gives me a way to reward the people who believe in the game early. Yeah. So if you'd like to follow along in the journey and see some of the videos that are going to come out next, consider subscribing, and feel free to leave those questions, comments, concerns in the comments, and I will definitely read them. I appreciate everyone's time, and thank you for watching.